He tells this story so often, it sounds rehearsed. A boy from Kano, a few $100s, and nothing else. Today, that boy controls more of Africa's economy than most of its governments combined. In 2023, Nigeria's own fact-checkers opened an investigation into that story, not a rival's claim about him, his own government's retelling of it. Their verdict took 4 words: misleading and false. So what did they find? Not a hidden account, not a foreign patron. Something stranger, a name. A name that decades before Aliko Dangote was born already answered to the title, the richest man in West Africa. And once you start pulling on that thread, the entire official story of Africa's richest man starts to fray at exactly the seams no one thought to check. Forget the empire built from nothing. This is about what nothing was built to hide. The story always starts the same way. Kano, northern Nigeria, the 1960s. A boy of 8, selling boxes of boiled sugar sweets to his classmates, pocketing the profit instead of spending it. He would later call this his first business. Proof, he says, that he was built for commerce before anyone taught him a single lesson in it. By the time he finished business studies at Al-Azhar University in Cairo in 1977, that instinct had a name: Aliko Dangote. He came home to Nigeria with a degree, an uncle willing to lend him a small sum to get started, and the story insists very little else. $3,000, that's the number most often repeated. The entire starting capital of a man now worth tens of billions. He used it to import sugar, salt, and pasta into a market that badly needed both. Within a few years, that trading operation had grown into a conglomerate. Textiles, flour, real estate, and, most importantly, a license to import cement. During a period Nigerians still call the cement armada, when ships queued for months off Lagos's harbor waiting to unload. In 1998, he stopped importing cement and started making it. 2 years later, when the government privatized a struggling state-owned producer called Benue Cement, his company acquired it. The first brick in what would become Dangote Cement, the largest cement producer in sub-Saharan Africa. In 2023, he opened something even bigger. Africa's largest oil refinery, built outside Lagos, years behind schedule and billions over budget, finally breaking Nigeria's decades-long dependence on imported fuel. Today, Bloomberg puts his fortune at $36.7 billion. Forbes says $32.8 billion. Either number makes him, by a wide margin, the richest person on the entire African continent. Sugar money to a $36 billion empire in one lifetime, starting from $3,000 and a family's blessing. It's the kind of story every business magazine on earth has already told the same way. Profiles, podcasts, keynote introductions, all repeating the same handful of numbers without ever checking where the first one came from. Which is what makes it worth asking. Is it true? In May 2023, Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu told a public audience that Dangote came to Lagos 45 years ago with nothing. Nigerian fact-checkers at PRNigeria decided to check it. What they found wasn't a rounding error. It was a different family history entirely, and their published verdict called the governor's claim in writing misleading and false. According to their investigation, the loan that started Dangote's business wasn't $3,000 from a sympathetic uncle. It was roughly $500,000 worth, in today's money, well over 350 million. And it didn't come from a stranger. It came from his own grandfather. That grandfather's name was Sanusi Dantata. He is the reason Aliko Dangote is even called Aliko, a name Sanusi chose himself, meaning the victorious one who defends humanity. By the 1960s, Sanusi wasn't just a wealthy relative. He was one of the largest licensed groundnut merchants in the whole of Nigeria, and Sanusi inherited that position from his own father, Alhassan Dantata, a groundnut and kola-nut trader from the Kano Emirate, who by the time of his death was considered one of the wealthiest men anywhere in West Africa. In 1929, Alhassan Dantata did something no other Kano merchant had done before him. He walked 20 camel loads of silver coins into the Bank of British West Africa and deposited all of it, a single, deliberate act that told an entire colonial banking system it now had to take a local trader seriously. By the 1940s, his trading house was moving 20,000 tons of groundnuts a year. When he died in 1955, his identified estate in northern Nigeria alone was valued at roughly £350,000, a fortune he left to a company he had already built and named Alhassan Dantata and Sons. Aliko Dangote was born 2 years later. By the time he took his first breath in Kano in April 1957, the title he would spend his adult life, said to have invented the richest man in West Africa, already belonged to his own family. It just wasn't his yet. None of this means the empire isn't real. Dangote Cement is real. The refinery is real. $36 billion, however you count it, is real. What isn't real is the idea that it started from nothing. The strange part is that this myth needed almost no one to keep it alive except the people who kept repeating it. Governors, journalists, business schools, none of whom ever opened the family tree, sitting in plain sight. Here is the part almost nobody asks. If Alhassan Dantata really was the richest man in West Africa, with 20 camel loads of silver and a company that bore his name, why has almost no one outside Nigeria ever heard of him? A fortune that size should have made the Dantata name as recognizable as Rockefeller or Rothschild. Instead, within 2 generations, it was quietly absorbed into a different name entirely. Every generation that inherits a fortune also inherits a choice. Keep the name that built it, or let it dissolve into a new one that looks to the outside world self-made. The Dantatas made theirs. Dangote made his. It isn't dishonesty exactly. It's closer to how currency itself works. A name accepted as value only for as long as everyone agrees not to ask where it was minted. And somewhere out there, a great-grandson not yet born is going to inherit a fortune built by a man the whole world currently calls a self-made billionaire. The only question left is whether anyone will bother to fact-check him.